Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. Tonight is Tuesday, July 26th, 2022. This is live stream 810. This is your first time hanging out. Let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then taking a first look. Normally, every once in a while, I'll do a live review, but normally we'll take a first look at a tabletop game. Obviously enough, this is what this show is about. So if you're hanging out tonight, do want to point out all week long, which my week is 3 days, at least for these streams. All week long is Hyperborea week. And we looked at the player's manual on last night's show. Tonight, we are going to be taking a peek at the referee's manual. Well. Actually, I find this cover to be pretty cool. We'll talk about that when we jump on into our first look. So if you're tuning in live, do want to point out that we always do the tabletop gaming news first. So if you're tuning in because you want to take a peek at the referee's guide, I should say referee's manual. I keep wanting to say guide because I'm so used to guides. The referee's manual, it'll be about 35 minutes. So just so you know, if you are watching this 30 minutes or more after this stream ends, there will be timestamps and you will be able to jump past the tabletop gaming news if you would like. So, and depending on the device that you use, those timestamps might actually be in the timeline of the video itself. So keep that in mind. Don't forget, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the Gaming Gang channel. Also, because this is a live stream, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. But you have to be a subscriber to the channel and be a subscriber for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. So first out the gate was the Madman. Yes, the Motor City Madman's with us tonight, but for just a little bit. I kind of caught that like out of the corner of my eye in the chat window. Sarah D's saying howdy. Coco B is hyper for some more Borea tonight. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Or maybe that's Coco B for Cocoa Puffs. Yes. So the Madman says just popping in to say hi on call duties for work. 15 hours in today and 3 more to go. Ouch. Yowza. So I assume Mr. Eddie T is probably floating around, has not said hello yet. Flaming Heron is with us as well. So chat is off and running. Coco B says, I'm honored. I was hoping for a second. I'm like, oh, wow. I hope they're not insulted by me doing the Cocoa Puffs thing. Let's jump on into the news. Because hitting stores this fall from WizKids is the Marvel-themed Damage Control. Here's what I know. In Damage Control, each player leads a rival cleanup crew tasked to finding and securing the dangerous artifacts and technologies buried in the rubble. Represented by a pile of scattered, mostly face-down cards, each rubble card represents a powerful item. Notable relics include Doc Ock's severed tentacles, damaged Ultron drones, Terrigen crystals, and more. You'll use your deck of Damage Control employees to demolish, uncover, and collect the rubble cards in search of valuable items, which you will then add to your deck. You can use the item's powerful abilities to make your deck stronger and more effective, or send them to your vault to keep them safe and earn victory points. Be careful, though. Only the items stored in your vault will score points in the end. Don't hold on to them for too long. As members of the organization in charge of processing the zone of destruction, you'll also have to deal with various claimants. People showing up after the battle to complain about traffic or do their own scavenging. Some rubbernecking citizens are just hoping to catch a glimpse of one of the heroes or villains involved. Heroes such as Captain America, Shang-Chi, Black Widow, and more will appear in the form of the character deck. These heroes provide effects and victory points to the damage control teams that manage to enlist their help. The game features 4 modules: Mighty Asgard, Mystical Manipulation, Pimtech, and Vibranium Synthesis. For each game, you'll pick 2 modules to mix into the standard rubble and character decks, creating a variety of stories, strategies, and gameplay options. As the Marvel Universe's leaders in cleanup and reconstruction, your team is sure to wreck the competition. No pun intended. Marvel Damage Control is for 2 to 4 players ages 12 and up. It plays in around 30 minutes and will be carrying an MSRP of $34.99 when it arrives in November. There you have it. There you have it. Gotta say, I'm not knocked out by the artwork. But unfortunately, this is kind of some of the artwork that we see in some of the Marvel comics as well as of late. So I guess there's that. To me, it doesn't look like comic art. To me, this looks like cartoon art. Now, the cover looks like comic art. And then the actual characters themselves, I don't know. I know. I'm one of these old school folks. Get off my lawn! Damn you kids. I remember when John Romita was drawing Spider-Man, not John Romita Jr. Yes. Could be kind of fun. I'm sure this is super lightweight. But if you are a Marvel fan, you might get a kick out of it. I could have swore that there used to be a Marvel comic called Damage Control. And I think it was sort of the same kind of premise, right? It was a team of, I think it was like D-level soups who would like clean up messes and stuff like that. Maybe I'm just, imagining this, but I could have swore I thought that was. Flaming Heron says more comical art rather than comic art. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. All right, on to our next news piece. Up for pre-order right now on the GMT Games P500 is Rebellion Britannia. Here's the skinny. Rebellion Britannia is a game about the Roman military campaigns to suppress the Silures, Brigantes, and Boudica rebellions. I know her name is pronounced a dozen different ways. I've always said Boudica. And the relationships between the key British tribes. Claudius's invasion of Britain in 43 CE was a military success. However, as a series of rebellions demonstrates, this military success was not so much the end of this story, but rather the beginning. The British tribes were unruly, and even when defeated in large pitched battles, they did not cease antagonizing Rome, nor indeed each other. For the British tribes, expansion seems not to have been an overriding concern, but they nevertheless were engaged in a struggle to survive in an environment dominated by Rome. Survival might mean battle, but it might also mean finding other ways to protect or encourage trade, agriculture, crafts, or sites of ceremonial importance. In the midst of this strife, the island of Britannia provides the perfect arena for players to champion one of four factions as they compete to establish or reclaim their foothold on the land. Rebellion Britannia is a game about the Roman military campaigns to suppress these British tribes and also covers the relationships between the key British tribes. In the game, 1 to 4 players will take control of one of the powerful factions of the time, either Rome or, you guessed it, one of those key British tribes. Over the course of 12 game rounds, lasting about 60 to 90 minutes, players attempt to gain the most victory points by controlling land, burning Roman infrastructure, and reducing enemy forces. Rebellion Britannia is a card-driven war game. Each player's available actions are largely dictated by the cards they currently have available to them. And following a simple sequence of play, players use these cards to recruit and move pieces on the board, secure control of regions, engage in diplomacy, form alliances, and battle against their rivals. Rebellion Britannia is a fast-to-learn, low-complexity, asymmetric game with few rules, a simple sequence of play, and a high quotient of strategic choices. The game depicts a dynamic military and political situation in first century Britain, distilled into a 60 to 90-minute game. Rebellion Britannia, once again, is for 1 to 4 players. It's for ages 12 and up. Plays around an hour, hour and a half. And right now you can pre-order it at the P500 price of $52. And this is going to eventually carry an MSRP of $75. Looks very interesting, I must say. I like to see lower complexity war games come from GMT Games. And I'd like to see them more numerous from GMT, because I say it time and time again, and I know a lot of war gamers out there, they're like, oh, no, you're wrong. This is a hobby. This is a niche of the hobby that the players are graying pretty bad. So you need some stuff to bring in fresh blood. And a lot of the old monster games, the old Hex Encounter 472 counters, just don't do it. Something like this has a nice, it looks like it's got a nice table presentation. It's not too difficult. It's got Romans in it. I know that's always a popular theme too. So this could be very cool. So hopefully, I got to be honest, I did not look to see if it's hit the order threshold, which isn't always 500. But I do hope this makes it to print, because this looks like this could be pretty interesting. On to some role-playing game news, because there is a money-saving bundle featuring the second edition of the science fiction role-playing game Eclipse Phase from Posthuman Studios. Here are the deets on the deal from Bundle of Holding. Agent, this is all new. The Eclipse Phase 2E bundle presents the 2019 second edition of, obviously enough, it'd be Eclipse Phase. I don't know why they're repeating it in one sentence. the tabletop science fiction role-playing game of transhuman survival from Posthuman Studios. After losing Earth in a war with AIs, transhumanity disperses throughout the solar system and beyond, struggling to survive. In a typical Eclipse phase game, characters belong to Firewall, a secret cross-faction organization that protects transhumanity from biowar plagues, self-replicating nanoswarms, nuclear proliferation, terrorists with WMDs, net-breaking computer attacks, rogue AIs, alien counters, and anything else that could drive an already decimated transhumanity to extinction. Agents may even step through a Pandora gate, a wormhole to distant stars and the alien secrets beyond. Funded in an April 2017 Kickstarter campaign, Eclipse Phase 2nd Edition improves the game with faster character creation, streamlined resleeving, body switching, new skill and gear systems, updated combat and hacking rules, and 4 sample teams. Most first edition source material is compatible with the 2019 second edition. For just $14.95, you get all 8 titles in the Eclipse collection with a retail value of $54 as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Eclipse Phase 2E core book, plus the free quick start rules, rules primer, and character pack, 3 2E adventures, router case files, Xenovore and Overrun, and 4 Nano Ops 2-page mini scenarios. All that glitters better on the inside, body count, and grinder. And I don't think it has anything to do with that app. Zoinks! These savings run through August 3rd, and 10% of your payment after gateway fees, obviously enough, will be donated to this Eclipse Phase offers pandemic-related charity. You guessed it, Direct Relief. I know nothing about Eclipse Phase outside of the transhumanity angle. I have never checked it out. For some reason, I always thought that this was kind of a, well, maybe I don't want to say mothership role-playing game before there was Mothership. But I always thought there was like a horror element to this, and I guess maybe I'm wrong. I guess probably completely wrong. But I do know it is very, very heavy into the transhumanity angle. So let's see. Zero Theories with us in chat. So is Testy Trekkie. Welcome to you both. Thanks for hanging out with us. So Zero Theory says, I'll take a Pandora gate. What could go wrong? Double T says, a heavy D100 system. So heavy. Yes. You know, that's something that I don't know. I got to be honest. I mean, I remember when we would see some of these really dense role-playing games come out, like from Leading Edge. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was like a mecha game or like mech game. And one of my friends had picked it up, or maybe I picked it up. I used to pick up a ton of stuff. And I remember getting it, and it was like, holy cow, man, how's anybody going to play this? Like, I'm losing interest looking at the mechanics of this game. So, now I'm not saying anything about this. I'm talking about, what the hell was it called? And I think it still floats around a little bit from time to time. But yes, I want to say it was from Leading Edge Games. I don't know. So Flaming Heron says they followed the devs back in the day, but didn't really get it into Eclipse Phase. Double T says there's a horror element in that the AIs are totally inhuman. Weren't they already? I mean, they're sort of, they're not a human. Speaking of the transhumanity aspect, I've listened to some pretty interesting audiobooks discussing the possibility of colonizing Mars and other planets in the solar system. And if we were to do that, we are probably going to have to make modifications to our bodies, our minds, and things like that. Pretty interesting stuff. Pretty interesting. Just like I know Elon Musk, regardless how you feel about the guy, he really wants humans to colonize Mars because it makes it that much more difficult for humanity to become extinct. So, how about that? Testy Trekkie says they experiment with human flesh. The AIs have a very elder god feel. Sweet. Well, if you like crunchy role-playing game systems and you're looking for what seems to be a pretty unique setting, here you go. $14.95. Check it out. How about some more role-playing game news? Because Into the Odd Remastered will be making its way into stores this fall. Here's the latest from Free League Publishing. Are you a curious explorer that longs for expeditions of the strange, peculiar, and marvelous? Free League Publishing has announced that the remastered version of the acclaimed weird fantasy tabletop role-playing game Into the Odd will be officially released on October 4th. There's already pre-order in progress. Bastion is the only city that matters. In its industrial age, it sits as the smoke-shrouded hub of mankind, surrounded by a world of lurking horrors and cosmic interference. The underground spreads beneath our feet, and the stars loom above. You're an explorer, braving places too far for maps and too old for records. Your expeditions touch the bizarre, wondrous, and horrific. You search for riches, but also arcana, mysterious devices with unnatural powers. Into the Odd Remastered is a rules-light, flavor-heavy role-playing game of industrial horror and cosmic strangeness. This new edition of Into the Odd from 2014 revisits industrial Bastion Land, giving the original game a lavish hardback, full-color restoration with expanded content. Written by Chris McDowell and with graphic design by Johan Noor, Into the Odd Remastered is published by the Free League Workshop, Free League Publishing's sub-label for carefully selected, externally developed games. The full-color book has 144 pages in a digest format. Into the Odd Remastered is now available once again for pre-order at the Free League web shop, and it will give you immediate access to the PDF ahead of the release. You can pre-order the hardcover book right now for $28.95. Do want to mention, I have this in PDF. I've had this, oh gosh, for like a month. So, yeah, I'm in pretty good with Free League. What can I tell you? But if there's an embargo on reviews until October 4th. So they are embargoing reviews until release day. And I got to be honest, I never like when companies do that. Thankfully, normally Free League Publishing, the vast majority of the time, their products are excellent, or at least really good. So I don't quibble too much about this release day embargo on reviews. Because it's a PDF, I really can't share a preview with you, because just watching a bunch of slides go by about one product for a long time, I'm not talking about for a few minutes as I'm doing a news piece. But I am talking about, for like 20 minutes as we talk about it. It would just be so boring. It would just be so boring. Zero Theory says they would love to try Into the Odd. Tessie Trekkie's pointing out Into the Odd Remastered is a beautiful book and sitting a foot to their left. Kickstarter, baby. That's right, Kickstarter fulfillment. Yeah, I think Free League is, well, if I remember right, and Double T can probably tell me if I'm right or not. I thought Into the Odd Remastered was kickstarted, but it wasn't through Free League. It was whatever company Chris McDowell has. And I think Free League partnered up with Chris McDowell to get a lot more exposure to Into the Odd Remastered. And I think that is why they're doing a print run of it that will be available in October. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I thought that's how it worked out. Because it wasn't that long ago that Free League mentioned that they were going to be publishing Into the Odd Remastered. And I could have swore it was already, well, I thought it was already effectively completed, not necessarily done printing. So Tessie Trekkie says it's Bastion Land Press and Free League's handling the distribution and printing. There we have it. Mr. Eddie T is swinging on into chat with us. Good to see you, MET. Maybe I'll just say Met. No, maybe not. Because Mr. Eddie T and Sarah D live in the Chicago area. Might be Sox fans. Might be Cubs fans. Might be Cubs fans. Don't know. And as a Cub fan, you never want anybody calling you a Met. All right. How about our final news piece? Now available in PDF from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment is Doctors and Daleks. Here's the scoop. A new companion for your adventures through all of time and space, or space and time. The wild adventures of everyone's favorite Time Lord comes to the world's most popular role-playing game in Doctors and Daleks. Although they don't use an ampersand, I'm very surprised. I would have gone with an ampersand. Take your gaming group into the TARDIS and travel anywhere, anywhen. Want to meet Leonardo da Vinci? I almost said Leonardo DiCaprio. Or see what life is like in the year 3000? What about another planet entirely? All of space and time is your Venusian macro oyster, but keep your wits about you. There's a lot of danger in the vastness of eternity. The Doctors and Daleks Player's Guide includes streamlined character creation rules to quickly bring to life a new time-traveling adventure, create a new companion for the Doctor, or build your own Time Lord. Or do you want to do a bit of time tourism as part of a Team TARDIS? Or will you create a group of time agents to fight back against pesky paradoxes? Rules for playing fast-paced, combat-light sci-fi adventures using the world's most popular role-playing game system. Fight like the Doctor with non-lethal weapons, maneuvers, gadgets, and the power of emotional and logical arguments. Or just run away really fast. A time traveler's treasure trove of technological marvels, including sonic screwdrivers, psychic paper, and time machines. Rules for using and customizing the TARDIS, as well as creating and piloting any other kind of time travel device to adventure from the dawn of history to the very ends of the universe. Or maybe you could dine at the restaurant at the end of the universe. That's probably an option as well. Advice on making every Doctors and Daleks adventure feel like you're living in an episode of the legendary Doctor Who TV series. It's also got an expansive look at the history of the Doctor's universe, detailing many of the aliens and creatures the Doctor has encountered across time and space, or space and time, including profiles for Daleks, Cybermen, Weeping Angels, and a host of other aliens and oddities ready to be played. The 332-page PDF is available right now at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Yes. And Cubicle 7 has sent me a PDF copy to take a peek at. So I shall be doing that. So, Eddie and Sarah are Cubs fans. I kind of had a feeling. I've got to say, I am very pleased to see this. So, okay, so one, I'm friends with quite a few people over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment. And they're good people, and I always like to see them succeed. And of course, I think Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is a blast. I've yet to run across anything that I thought wasn't at least good or better for 4th edition WIFRIP. But when they lost the license to Tolkien's works, that was a bummer because their Adventures in Middle-earth was doing so well. Their 5e port, I guess we'll say, of the 1st edition of The One Ring did really well for them. And there were so many people who were really excited about a Lord of the Rings, or I guess we'll say a Tolkien Middle-earth role-playing game that utilized 5e mechanics. And of course, that's no more. Now, of course, through the grapevine, I've heard Free League Publishing is planning on doing a 5e version of The One Ring. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything official in quite a while. I just heard kind of rumors, I guess I'll say. So it's good to see the folks over at C7 working to bring some of their popular current systems to 5e. So I'm glad. And of course, there is I want to say it's a new edition. I don't think it's just a new cover. I think it's a new edition, if I remember correctly, of the Doctor Who role-playing game. And I am, of course, going to be visiting with Cubicle 7 Entertainment at Gen Con. I am going to see if they've got the Doctor Who, the new one. I'm going to see if they've got that and see if I can get a review copy so I can share it with you. Because if you like lighter, I mean, it's not super light, but it's got a lighter rule set. And especially for gamers out there who, like Doctor Who, like Sarah out there watching, big fan. So I'm hearing, little birdie told me, Mr. Met told me, and also those who don't want like a bunch of violence in their role-playing games, it is an excellent choice to check out. So there is that. Once again, you can pick up the 332-page PDF over at DriveThruRPG right now for $29.99. That is it for the news tonight. Sweet. So I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you happen to be swinging over to DriveThruRPG, I don't know, maybe you're going to pick up Doctors and Daleks. Who knows? If you are, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up. Help keep the gaming gang around. Also, keep in mind, Christmas in July is currently going on at DriveThruRPG. It is one of the 2 best sales that you will find on DriveThruRPG each year. Christmas in July and Black Friday. And of course, the freebies for Halloween, but sale prices aren't usually as good as they are for these 2 sales. I will mention this is not part of the sale, though, rats. But there are tens of thousands of other role-playing games, including the book I'll be talking about in just a few moments, that are part of the sale. So there is that. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find the gaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you like what we do, you can always make a small donation. You can always visit paypal.me/thegaminggang. And, yeah, like I said, you want to kick a few bucks over this way, I will not complain. Thank you very kindly. So, my dad got home today. So that was very good. Very cool. He is currently above the duct tape studios watching TV. So he's in pretty good spirits. Yeah, he's using a walker to get around right now. But I mean, he was zipping around with the walker. So I don't think we're going to see that for too long. But he's going to have some physical therapy here and nurse come in and things like that. But he's doing pretty good. And I made dinner and I asked him, how was it? Because he hasn't really been eating a whole lot. He said things don't really taste right. And he's like, oh, this is really good. I was like, sweet. Because I know, I mean, I had the same surgery and I went through the whole, I don't feel like eating. So, all right. So things are going well. So that is good news. Other than that, nothing too exciting kicking. I am counting down the days for Gen Con next week. Yes. I hate that I have to drive down there again. I always have to drive. Just once it'd be nice if I didn't have to drive, but what can I tell you? So I'm looking forward to that. I've got quite a few interviews set up, but I learned my lesson years and years ago. I don't go like crazy with interviews. I used to, when we were only doing podcasts, we would run from one place to another place to another place to another. It was like, now I schedule 5 interviews a day. That is it. So throughout the process, I usually end up with about 15 to 17 interviews. And for me, I think that's fine. A lot of these people run around doing all these interviews because they all have their hand out. It's basically, it's just how it is. It's just how it is. And if you got any publishers out there watching, they know that's how it is. I'm not saying every single reviewer, but there are a lot of reviewers. They just show up first thing. It's like, hey, I'm here to interview you. Gimme. Mr. Eddie T says, buy me a ticket and I will drive next year. Funny enough, I am going to have an extra press pass this year because my nephew can't go. He started a new job and he had to bid for his schedule, and he has to work weekends. So right there. So anyway, Simeon's with us. I don't think I said hello. MC is with us asking, did I miss it? Have you looked at the book yet? Yes, we're all finished. Thank you very much for tuning in. No, we haven't. We haven't hit intermission yet. Although we are about 40 minutes into the show. We're getting there. So yeah, I have an extra press pass, which I honestly could put in anybody's name right now. I can usually even change it there at the con. So just letting you know. Anyway, but lastly, so MC's asking, Jeff, have you lost some weight? You look good. So I don't think so. So here was kind of a pisser. So just got back from Comic-Con, and my best friend Elliot has an app that tracks his steps and things like that. And he's got like a smartwatch, I think with the app, whatever. I don't know. So he calculated with his app. The first day we were there, Wednesday, we actually got in on the first flight. So we were actually in San Diego at like 9:05 in the morning. And we actually got to our hotel at 10, and we were going to just ask them if we could just leave our bags. And they said, we got a room, we can get you in. And I was like, oh, sweet. I was like, nice. So we were able to check in at like 10 o'clock. And then we had lunch, so anyway. So we were already walking around from like 9 a.m. On the first day, we did 11 miles, just over 11 miles walking. And then on Thursday, I think it was like 11 and a half. On Friday, we were at 11.7. And then on Saturday, amazingly enough, because we went to a party from 4 to 7, so we weren't walking then. We still did like over 12 miles. And it was like, so let me see. So we've walked around almost 50 miles, let's say 45 miles. And I thought for sure, we've all had to have lost a few pounds. Even though, we had a few adult beverages and beers and stuff, but we weren't eating crazy. In fact, there were a couple of days we didn't even have lunch. So I got home, jumped on the scale, and I'm like, nothing. It's like, what? I didn't lose an ounce? It's like, jeez. So, anyway, thank you, MC. But no, I have, as far as I know, I haven't lost weight. So, I would like to. I certainly would. Although, after my surgery, I shared the picture, last month, maybe earlier this month. And it was like 2 weeks after the surgery, after I got home. And I hadn't done a show yet. And I was down here doing something. I turned the camera on, I took a picture. I was like gaunt. I was like really gaunt looking. So I don't want to go back to that, but yeah, I'd like to lose a few pounds. Anyway, Coco B says gain some muscle. Yeah, probably in my legs, because I have not walked like that. And I was shocked. I mean, my legs were kind of tired, but my feet really didn't hurt. Of course, I made sure I had really super light sneakers. I'm no dummy. And I made sure that the shirts I brought were like really nice, lightweight. So golf shirts and things like that. I'm no dummy. Well, at least about that. So Mr. AT says, I'm broke. I'd love to go. Sarah says, she'd happily loan me Mr. T. Mr. Eddie T, I should say. Anyway. So wait a second. Was that Eddie that said that they were broke or somebody else? I don't want to insinuate that Eddie doesn't have money to go to Gen Con. All right. So you know what's coming next? We are going to be taking a first look and paging through the Hyperborea Referee's Manual in just a couple moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Why are we climbing this tree?
For Wilkins coffee.
I don't want any.
It's autumn and the nuts are beginning to fall.
Long, long ago in colonial Virginia, a tempting new recipe was created. They called this tasty dish Smithfield Barbecue. And today, that famous James River Smithfield Barbecue is still being prepared right there in Smithfield, Virginia, lovingly simmered in old-fashioned open kettles. The fame of James River brand Smithfield Barbecue has spread over the entire world, so that today, happy folks in every land are enjoying that old Virginia dish, rich in tender meat, tangy with barbecue sauce. Getting hungry? Well, we wouldn't just tell you about Smithfield Barbecue. Step up and enjoy one at our refreshment stand right now. When you bite into that luscious, lip-smacking Smithfield Barbecue sandwich, you'll find out for yourself why James River brand Smithfield Barbecue is a favorite everywhere.
Yes. That's 7-Up commercial. I almost said 7-Eleven. That 7-Up commercial cracks me up as well. I saw Eddie and Sarah mentioning that that expression is classic. The cowboy comes walking through the saloon. He's looking all badass. Yeah. Kicks in the door to what looks like it's the, the studio commissary. All of a sudden he's like, looks like Mongo from Blazing Saddles after the bomb goes off in his hand. Like, what? Yes, gotta love those intermissions. And of course, Wonkins probably lived, but was probably injured in that fall from the tree. So those of you who like watching Wonkins die, there's some satisfaction there. And those who like to see him live, there's some satisfaction there as well. All righty, so moving right along tonight, I am going to take a first look at the Hyperborea Referees Manual. I almost said guide again. Referees Manual, Jeff. I keep thinking Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide. Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide. Where with Hyperborea, it is the Player's Manual and the Referee's Manual. And this is from Northwind Games. It is written by Jeffrey P. Talarian. This 317-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $50. Or you can grab just the PDF alone, normally at DriveThruRPG for $12. But this is another entry in the Christmas in July sale. So you can get all 317 pages of that PDF for $10.20. Tell you, that's pretty sweet. So before we dive on in, do want to mention Kevin Smith is with us, as is Kathy Evans. So we got a nice chat going tonight. I think last night we had 40 people watching live. I was like, hey, that's pretty sweet. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Hyperborea. This is volume 2. And it is the referee's manual. I like the artwork on the cover. It's like a sorcerer. There's a sorcerer way up at the top here. And there's all these weird monstrosities and horrors floating around. And then on the back, it almost looks like this is supposed to be Cthulhu. It looks like those are the tentacles coming down out of his face. So pretty cool. That is pretty sweet. So once again, I know very little about Hyperborea. We took a first look through yesterday at the player's manual and looked pretty interesting, looked pretty cool. So tonight we're taking a peek at the referee's manual. And I believe this is the same artwork we had for our player's handbook as well. Player's manual, I should say. I don't know. I know. I'm just not used to like role-playing game core books called manuals. It's just unusual. Okay. So I actually swapped out the kit lens on the GH5 Mark II with one of my prime lenses. So I keep trying to see if I can get some nice clear text without that weird sort of digitized look. So MC says that they love the artwork in these books. It really gives them a Dungeon Crawl Classic vibe. We'll talk a little about Dungeon Crawl Classics because somebody left a comment that I thought was relatively insightful, seeing that I don't know anything about these yet because I have not started reading them. Things have been crazy. You already know that. But they had pointed out that they really like a lot of the mechanics and the character classes and the subclasses and things like that. But they don't believe Vancian magic is a good fit for sword and sorcery. And I got to be honest, I kind of agree with that. I agree with that. That it just, sorcery and sword and sorcery magic corrupts. The more you use it, the more it like damages you both physically and mentally and things like that. So MC says that this isn't just a D&D with some stuff bolted on. As far as I know, it's not. I mean, this is still to be considered a retro clone, or maybe you'd consider it a fantasy heartbreaker. All right, so a few things to point out before we start diving further in. First of all, this is not a review copy. So I was provided the funds from a viewer of the show who really wanted me to tackle Hyperborea. So they made a donation and I backed the Kickstarter. So that's how I got these. So these have not, none of the stuff we're looking at has been sent for review from Northwind Games. So I really don't have to go through the whole, no further compensation or anything like that. Also, of course, as usual, I'll be up here. Picture in picture. So I'll cut off a little bit of the upper left. We're not going to look at every page once again. Just going to try to get a feel for what's in this book. And I kind of got the impression that, for the most part, a vast majority of the rules to actually play the game were in the player's manual. So let's jump back for a second. Let's take a look at what we've got for table of contents. So we have, this is broken up into effectively 4 sections. We have refereeing, the bestiary, treasure, and the gazetteer. So there we've got some black and white art of the cover. Cut off. It's only half of it. So Kevin says that this seems to be first edition D&D, or as many of us like to refer to it, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, with a whole bunch of variant subclasses, though they think combat might make more sense. That is a possibility. So we've got determining new and modified monster experience point values. Talking about beasts and monsters. So are we already into, yes. So we are already into the bestiary. Man, that was fast. And here is the first of our bookmarks. If I remember correctly, I think these were printed over in Europe. Yeah, so very short section about game mastering. So here we've got our bestiary here with different monsters. Looks as if each of the entries has an image. So that is cool. It's the Cloaca. The Chimera. Looks like we've got some color plates. Looks like they are the same color plates. Oh, look, a little nudity there. There we go. Just moving right along. Oh no, the video's been flagged now. So MC says, yeah, AD&D combat. Woof. So they think that they may have already started using ascending armor class at their tables back then. And then Thaco, yes. I believe, once again, I have not, we did a page through. We didn't look at every single page last night. I believe this does have specific combat matrices or matrices, as some people say, for each of the classes. So, which is kind of like a cross between like Thaco and like, yeah, and basic and stuff. So I gotta say the bestiary art is pretty cool. Now remember, I mentioned when we were looking at last night's book, I thought the artwork was kind of a mixed bag. There were some really cool pieces, and then there were some that was like, seriously, really? So Connor Dunning says, meh, not hard to convert. Welcome, by the way. Welcome to chat. Thanks for hanging out with us, Connor. So giant frog, green slime, the griffin, the great race. I wonder if we'll have some Lovecraftian creatures in here. Because there seems to be a wee bit of a sort of a great old ones vibe to some of the artwork that we've seen. Well, so we have a pretty good, extensive, well, there you go, a Shoggoth or Shoggoth. So there is the answer to my question. Shambling mound. Snake Man. And each of the entries is not overwhelming. They're bite-sized chunks. They're basically, hey, here's your stat block. Here are some special abilities that this creature has. I gotta say, that's one of the coolest looking Sturges I've seen. Sturges usually look like, it's just, oh, look, it's a big mosquito. All right, so after this, we're going to see, I believe we're going to get into treasure. Yes, I'm almost positive. All right, so then we're getting some tables for the various different creatures there. All right, so we got our treasure determination, copper pieces, silver pieces, electrum pieces, gold pieces, and platinum pieces. So I'm sort of curious, those of you out there who game master and say you game master fantasy role-playing games, do you use all the various coins? I never do. So, just to be honest, I normally don't. Okay, so MC says that they just love how much these books remind them of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, with the publisher of Hyperborea have had to license all the TSR D&D monsters from Wizards of the Coast. No. Usually I know we're going to see the open game license at the end. Now, there are certain creatures that no one can utilize, that they are strict copyright to Wizards of the Coast, but a great many. There's only a handful that people can't use. So, almost positive this is an open gaming license. Let's take a look. Uh-oh, maybe not. Maybe. Oh, there you go. I thought I saw an OGL statement in the other book too. So there you go. So this is open game license for this. All right, so we've got special swords, magical shields, magical melee weapons. So here is the color artwork as black and white. It's like we're getting a breakdown on some specific magical items with some artwork kind of sprinkled throughout, scrolls and potions, different magic rings, the rod of suffocation. Pressing the bronze stud at the base of this sleek gray-black metallic rod releases 2 silver coils that fly toward the mouth of a targeted human, humanoid, or quasi-man target within 30 feet. Directly, the wriggling coils cut into the victim's face and fill their mouth and throat, cutting off the oxygen supply. So not only are they cutting off the oxygen supply, they're messing up their face. So MC says, kind of chins, or chinsy, kind of chintzy, as I would always say, that they reused the color plates in both books. I agree. Because I got to be honest, this was a pretty damn successful Kickstarter. So I would have liked to have seen all the artwork throughout not get repeated, because we've already seen some other artwork repeated as well. But then again, this is a small publisher. I got to be honest, I think this is a one-man band with Jeffrey P. Talarian. And of course, we've got a variety of different artists who are involved in this. So we got a lot of cool magic items. So we have magic item creation. I like this piece. I think that's a pretty cool piece of artwork. And then we're going to get to the Gazetteer. So Hyperborea in relation to old Earth and the celestial bodies. Hyperborea is a flat hexagonal plane, though astronomers, astrologers, and other mathematicians who measure the stars suggest the realm to be somewhat concave. At the rim of the world where the Black Gulf is met, the north wind blows. The deity Boreas is said by some to dwell within those intermittable winds. Others submit he's imprisoned there. Sages aver that the whole of Hyperborea, yeah, there's that Gygaxian again. The whole of Hyperborea was once an Arctic landmass on old Earth. Prior to this time, it was a land of sunshine and plenty, a blessed place. Assumptions regarding its separation are but speculative. That's kind of cool. So, if it was an Arctic landmass, oh, maybe it was prior to it being an Arctic landmass, because I'm like, so what are you saying? So it was an Arctic landmass, a land of sunshine and plenty. I'm like, So I had asked the question about coins. MC says, nah, I just stick to gold pieces. Kevin is also pointing out that, some monsters do come from folklore. Many more than you would think, too. Because there are actually some monsters that a lot of people have thought, oh, wow. I thought that just came from somebody's imagination who is a writer for D&D, and it's like, no, those are like some strange creature in, say, like Mideastern folklore or something like that. So That is kind of cool. So here we've got our calendar, moon phases. Of course, I'm just kind of jumping through here. I need to grab a quick sip. Connor asks, flat Earth? I believe it is. It seems like it is a flat Earth. MC's got a fun fact. In Clark Ashton Smith's Hyperborea novels, Hyperborea was based on modern-day Greenland. It's kind of wild. Russell Higgins has joined us. Good to see you, Russell. Says virtually none of the creatures came from the creators of D&D. See what I mean? See what I mean, jelly beans? All right, so it's a discussion of various areas because it is a gazetteer. The floating island of Paradoxon. Nice. Looks like this will be, this is a repeat of the color artwork once again, because we saw this barbarian and this artwork as well in the player's manual, I should say. I also think that there's sort of a bit of an old Earth vibe to the races to this as well. So, got notable rivers and lakes, marvels and wonders. So we get into Appendix A, we get weather. We got a few pages of weather. Hazards of Hyperborea. Black flies. Extreme cold, extreme heat. Steam vents, swamp gas. Waterborne expeditions. So one of the questions that I have, something that I'm curious about, is what kind of adventure supports are we going to see for Hyperborea? Now, of course, the first adventure is out. We're going to be taking a peek at that. MC says, wow, water rules in the core book? What a concept. Is this large-scale battles here? Warfare and Siege. Close enough. Got a few pages of that. Then we hit our open game license statement and our index. Anyway, I am kind of curious what kind of adventure support we are going to see for Hyperborea. Now, I think, not positive, I think the previous edition's adventures are compatible. I don't think they've made radical changes to the game itself. But to my knowledge, I think there's only one published adventure right now for this third edition, effectively, of Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea, or as it's now known, Hyperborea. So Connor's asking, what is that? This is to their website, to Hyperborea TV. I got to be honest, I don't know what that might be. I don't think it's a PDF copy, because a PDF copy was sent to Kickstarter backers and things like that already. So Kevin says that they snagged the PDF from DriveThru last night. It looks like low Gygaxian. Sporadic, archaic words, but still understandable. So effectively, I would say we're looking at like late Lovecraftian as opposed to early Lovecraftian. So there you have it. That is a first look at the referee's manual for Hyperborea from Northwind Adventures. Once again, this 317-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $50, and you can grab it normally for $12 in PDF over at DriveThruRPG. It is part of the Christmas in July sale. And you can snag it for $10.20 right now. And of course, if you are going to swing on over and pick it up and take advantage of that sale price, because hey, you don't have to be using the system to probably get some good ideas to crib for your own game. 317 pages of content, 1020. That is a sweet deal. That is a very sweet deal. But if you are going to swing over there, don't forget, stop at thegaminggang.com. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you do make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. Sweet. All right. Very cool. So tomorrow, we are going to do a little double dip for the finale of our Hyperborea week. We're going to take a look at that aforementioned adventure, and that is the late Trapper's Lament, which is here as I hold up the atlas. Yeah, we're going to look at the atlas and the adventure and the atlas. So we're going to look at the adventure. And then we'll peek at the atlas. Actually, we'll probably look at the atlas first. So, Kevin said they should specify they did click on a banner at the Gaming Gang before buying the PDF. Not sure if the affiliate ID stayed with them, but they tried. It should. That's what I've been told. I don't know. And from what it looks, I would think it does. So it's supposed to stay. I think it's for a few days, to be honest. I couldn't tell you. I have no clue. All right, next week, I'm probably going to be doing only one show, and that will be on Monday, because I'll be leaving early Wednesday morning to go to Indy for Gen Con. So I like to kind of like relax a little bit the day before I go. So yeah, you're like, oh, what are you talking about, man? You're like going to a convention. Aren't you relaxing there? And it's like, oh, no, kind of running around a lot. So on Monday, we are going to take a look at, that's right, Dark Archive for Pathfinder 2E. So this is the first of their horror releases from Paizo Inc. So we're going to take a peek at this. I am trying to set up some interviews with some of the fine folks over at Paizo Inc. as well at Gen Con. And don't forget, if you have not taken a peek at it, check out my review of Dungeons & Dragons, Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel from Wizards of the Coast. Got to point out, kind of surprised. View numbers are kind of down on that book. And it's not just my channel. There's somebody who is off the top. I forget what their channel is, but they pop up from time to time in my YouTube, and they're like a D&D channel, and they pull in like big numbers on their videos, and it's usually, they strike me as a channel that will take a single book and break it up into like 10 videos. But I had noticed their view numbers on their Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel were not what I'm used to seeing when these things pop up in my feed. So, So Flaming Heron says, maybe people are a bit over wantsy. I don't know. I'll tell you what, they have an oddball presence at Gen Con. I mean, they're there and they're not there. They used to have a really big presence. Now you really, I think last year, I don't even think they had a booth for you to buy anything. So kind of weird. So Kevin says there was a lot of advanced right-wing griping about it being too woke, but I'm not sure why that would start to make a difference now. I gotta be, I didn't find the book to be too woke. I've run across other stuff that was far more woke. I think there were people who were upset that it was all people of color and it was being promoted as a book written by people of color alone. And there's a comment on, I think it's the review video, that somebody accuses me of defending racism. It's like, what? It's like I mentioned once, like I guarantee everybody covering the book, that every adventure was written by a person of color. Okay, fine. But they're like, oh, that's racist. That's racist that it's only people of color. So, and hey, thank you to Coco B who popped in and gave him a little slap upside the head. So I thought that was pretty funny. Or I saw that, I was on my way to, I think I was on my way to Comic-Con and I saw that. I was like, oh man, I got to wait. Now I got to wait to respond to this. All right. That is it for this time out. Of course, if you like this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do, ding the bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings, normally at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as the aforementioned review of D&D Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. All right, once again, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do a double dip on the Atlas and Adventure for Hyperborea. Those who watched live, thank you very much. If you joined in on chat, a bigger thank you and some bonus experience points for you. But of course, I know a lot of people out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly to all of you out there for spending any time checking out any of these videos on the channel. It really does mean a lot. It really does. I know some people think, Jeff's just saying that. It's like, no. A lot of these people who join me in chat, they're like family. Distant cousins, but family nonetheless. So everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is in your neck of the woods. And of course, as always, here's hoping each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.